health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to Accelerated Health TV and Radio Show. I'm your host, Sara Banta. I'm a health coach, natural supplement expert, and a busy mom of three. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below so you're notified every week with my new podcast on Mondays and Tuesdays. And if you haven't already, join my free group coaching on Telegram with the link below. There is no downside. I teach you on a daily basis with tips and tools to enhance your health, and you will be a part of an amazing, like-minded group to support you on your journey, in addition to truly taking control of your health. My goal is to reach everyone on earth with eyes to see and ears to hear my message of healing. So help me with that goal. Share this podcast with a few of your friends who may need my help, which also helps me get better guests on the show to help you further. So today, super excited. This is something we need to all be addressing, is stress and meditation. We have Craig Goldberg come on. He's a relaxation expert and technologist on a quest to help humanity achieve a deeper sense of inner calmness, which we all need. And his work is backed by 40 plus years of research showing many benefits of this type of therapy. He is a patented inventor, constantly exploring new ways to use sound and vibration to help people reduce stress and anxiety, heal, and transform their lives. Welcome, Craig. How are you today?
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for having me, Sarah.
I'm guessing you're fantastic because you're calm and you have meditated already this morning. Am I correct?
I have. I absolutely have. Yeah.
Well, I want to start with what got you into this? Why are you on this path? And, was there something in your past that really made you realize that there was this need?
I mean, look, I'm a human, right? I'm 44 years on this earth. I have a 3.5-year-old, 3 kids, by the way, is like just that's amazing by itself. I think anybody that doesn't have kids doesn't quite get it. One's a headache and a handful. And 3, I hear it gets a little easier, but still just love and blessings, and you're a powerhouse, and that's awesome.
Thank you. I have to say 3 is a lot more than just 1 more than 2.
Totally. It's absolutely remarkable. Thank you for all the good deeds that you do and what you put up with as a mom. So, look, I'm a human, and love it or hate it. And whether we take responsibility for it or not, and I say thank you and you're welcome, we've co-created a society that breeds a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. And what I don't think we're really tending to outside of conversations like this and the work that we both do in our shared communities and beyond, and other folks like us are doing, is really tend to the conversation around understanding stress and anxiety, its impact on our physiology, its groundedness and really foundational impact that it has on our overall health and wellness. And really, I was a human being that was stressed and anxious, and I didn't know what was going on health and wellness wise. Granted, and we'll talk about it because I know we see eye to eye on a lot. There are a lot of different things that go into living a healthy life. It's not just vibration. It's not just meditation. It's not just one supplement or another. It's a lifestyle. And really, I wasn't living a healthy lifestyle. And I didn't know it because I was inside it. I was enjoying it. I thought I was being healthy. I thought I was making good decisions. My wife started getting sick, doc after doc. Nobody could tell us what was wrong. In the end, it wound up being gluten. We removed gluten from our diet 100%, started feeling a little better, and I started feeling a little worse, and then found essential oils. And right, like it's just this kind of domino effect of learning and education of making a change and then feeling better, and then making a change and then feeling better. And eventually I found sound therapy. I found a sound bath. I was traveling, speaking, teaching at different yoga retreats, and these yoga retreats would have sound therapists and sound bowls and angels that were playing and running these sound baths. And I didn't know what it was about it. I just knew I laid down in front of this didgeridoo, gong, crystal bowl, whatever it was, or all of them if it were a big sound bath. And I fell asleep 45 minutes later, I woke up feeling amazing. Couldn't tell you what it was, but I felt like a new human being. And as I dug more and more into understanding what sound and frequency and the impact that it has on our physiology, the more I started to realize that vibration therapy, sound therapy has efficacy. It's important. It's tending to the nervous system, specifically stress and anxiety. And then I started looking at all of the downstream effects that stress and anxiety has, and that'll kind of lead to our conversation today. But yeah, there's a lot there.
There's a lot with what you just said. If anyone's thinking that Craig's crazy, I just want you to imagine going to a heavy metal concert, and especially if you're like me, unless you like heavy metal, and thinking about what it does to your brain, and it gives me a headache, it makes me rattled, it makes me just want to crawl out of my skin. That's the same thing. So you've got the bad frequencies and vibrations, and you've got the healing frequencies and vibrations. And that's what we do with accelerated health products, is we add frequencies into our scalar frequencies into our supplements. And so everything is about frequency. The virus has a frequency. That little rat that's in your house crawling around has a frequency. If you have lupus, that has a frequency. Everything is about frequency and vibration. And when you match it and negate it, there's healing frequencies, and then there's the stressful frequencies like the EMFs that I'd love to talk about, because why we need meditation so much more than ever is, you've talked about this, is the radiation, the toxins, the heavy metals, the laundry detergent, the air quality. Let's dive into why we are needing it more than ever in this year of 2024, even after the pandemic. I mean, that puts on a whole nother layer of it.
Look, Sarah, this is actually a conversation I don't get to have very often, interestingly enough. And I have a little bit of a different belief on it. So I'm excited to be able to share a perspective that I think is a little different. Look, heavy metal, Metallica, as you had mentioned, Rage Against the Machine, what they're playing isn't necessarily a bad frequency. It just doesn't resonate with you.
Right.
And frankly, it doesn't resonate with me anymore. However, if it resonates with you, that's great. And our technology, which we'll talk about way later in this conversation, is simply a delivery system for sound and frequency to the body. You can listen to anything you want through it. And I'll tell you a quick story on this front, and then I'll touch on EMFs because that's a hot topic too. And kind of dovetail and bring it all together. I was offering free demos of our tech at a One Love festival, which is a festival all about one love, transformational festival. And I bring a buddy of mine who makes these amazing rings, Batengo, and I say, hey, check out the tech and I'll give you a free session. And he gets on and he gets off the tech and he kind of looks like unwowed, which is unusual. It's happened. It's unusual. I go, what'd you think? He goes, cool tech, but music, not really. It was like an upbeat house music. We were at a festival. It was like kind of in line with what we were playing. And he's like, not really my thing. Do you have any Rage Against the Machine? And I was like, I don't. It's not really part of my, but if you have it on your phone, go get your phone and we'll put it on. And he played this track, which is F you, I won't do what you tell me. It's a really aggressive track. And for 3 minutes, he was like writhing and smiling and like moving. And like, he got off it and he gave me the headphones. He was like, you need to listen to this. And I did. And sure enough, it sounded amazing. It felt amazing because that's the kind of music that moves you. And we're all different in that realm. To that same point, I don't believe there are any bad frequencies. I really don't. I believe there are frequencies that don't resonate with you or the human body, either at that time or the human body as a whole. And that's where we get kind of into EMFs and what they're doing and how they're negatively impacting our physiology. But the frequency by itself is not a bad frequency. It's just not resonant to the human body. And the human body has a resonant frequency depending on what study you're looking at. It ranges from 5 hertz to 16 hertz. But that's kind of the conversation around EMFs. Look, I wear an Apple Watch. I use the AirPods for convenience. Most of the time I'm wearing these, which are air tube headphones, which cut. This is not connected to my cell phone, but there's a microphone on it. And the radiation from your cell phone against your head is not good. The radiation coming out of these against your head is not good. And I'm the first one to tell you that. However, I do the things that I need to do to mitigate that by giving my body an opportunity to rest and do what it was so magically designed to do, which is really heal and take care of itself when it's in a calm and relaxed state. And this is the part that I think is really detrimental. I love scalar technology. I love scalar waves. I love those frequencies. I love that they're embedded and infused into your supplements. And I absolutely want to learn more about that. The reality is, most of us are walking around so stressed and anxious. And as we'll talk about, when you're in a stressed and anxious state, your body is in a sympathetic nervous system response, and it cannot heal itself in that state. It is in survival mode. It is not in maintenance mode. So having access to all the different technologies and the lifestyle practices and all of that I have, I decided that the impact that these are having on my biofield, and there is an impact that they're having on my biofield, is mitigated. And this is an acceptable use case for me that I believe the benefit outweighs the negativity, if you will. But I don't wear them 24/7. I do give myself a rest from the radiation. I do turn my phone off for at least 8 to 12 hours a day, and I'm more than 3 feet away from it when it's charging. I'm taking all of the risks. I wish I had some of my EMF gear here, anti-EMF gear, if you will, that helps to reprogram those EMFs so they're more bioavailable. So it's a big part of the conversation. However, I don't believe that it's one that we can avoid. Yeah, you can choose not to wear an Apple Watch, but I tried giving up a cell phone for a little while. Can't be done. I can't do it. Let's put it that way. Other people can. I think that's great, but not for me. So I just think growing up, even you with 3 kids, I have a 3.5-year-old. I'm thinking about her future all the time. I'm thinking about, do I put a Faraday cage around her room? Do I paint her walls with a Faraday cage material? Do I use, like, you could take this thing to the next level. But the problem is, if I do that, then her body, when it goes outside, is not going to be protected because it's not going to be acclimated. It's not going to be of what just is going to continue to increase as we get older and older and more exposed. The human body is resilient. We just have to make sure that we're checking the right boxes and doing the right things to give ourselves the rest and to allow our bodies to heal. And that's a big part of my kind of belief and stance. And I know that differs from a lot of people out there, and I'm always down to talk about it and learn more.
I love what you're saying. It makes me feel better about the fact that I'm in front of my computer and I've got my cell phone to my left, right? And there are certain times where I have to wear my AirPods. I minimize it, and I actually just sent all 3 of my kids a post on Instagram about the damage that it does to your ears, trying to get them off of it. But we have to live in this world. So how do we negate what is harming us? And I love what you say, that your body can't heal or restore, because we have to be careful with the word heal
Totally.
on this podcast.
Absolutely.
YouTube, thank you. That your body can't restore itself when it's stressed, and that parasympathetic to sympathetic state. I don't think, Craig, most people know that they are in the constant chronic state of stress.
Nope.
And so they don't even know that that's their baseline, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I've actually seen a friend of mine who has gone through a technology. She was put into that parasympathetic mode for the first time, probably in the last 10 years. And she thought, oh, I don't like this. It makes me really tired. Well, your body's finally able to restore. And so you're super exhausted. Right? So
the nail on the head. Like, I just want to be like, yes.
Talk about that a little bit more. The sympathetic versus parasympathetic, and what it's doing to the body.
Yeah. So let's take a step back, because I agree with you 100% with what you just said. For so many, our steady state is stressed and anxious that we don't even realize it. Right? I love drinking coffee. I'll sip on coffee throughout the day. I probably have 1 cup over 12 hours. Right? But there are people that are so overtired because they're not sleeping at night that they then stimulate using coffee, tea, worse, energy drinks, chocolate, right? These different stimulants that keep us going. Your brain's not functioning correctly. It's not moving in and out of the different brainwave states correctly, which leads to dysregulation of your nervous system. We'll talk about those 2 things separately. We can talk about the brain if you want, but let's dive into, as you asked, how we interpret the world around us. So let's keep this really, really simple, and let's build into it, because I think it's worth the conversation. And if you're listening and you're not sure if you're in that state, unfortunately, unless you're tending to yourself, you're probably in that state. So let's think first about the brain and the body and the nervous system. The nervous system, how it interprets the world around us is through the five senses: touch, taste, sound, smell, hearing. Okay, the five senses. And your brain is really just sitting in a black hole, just looking at electrical signals. And those electrical signals that are coming through the ocular nerve, the auditory nerve, right? They're coming through all the mechanoreceptors in our skin. And it's how we interpret the world around us. When your body, when your nervous system interprets a series of signals as a threat to your well-being, that threat to your well-being could be physical, which is tends to be what people talk about, like a saber-toothed tiger chasing you. I don't have any saber-toothed tigers here in Vegas, but I got really shady parts of the strip that I don't want to be walking down on a dark alley by myself at night, right? There's parts of New York City that I wouldn't want to be walking by myself at night. Brooklyn, right? The Bronx. That spidey sense that goes off, that is your sympathetic nervous system response. That is a series of signals that your senses are interpreting as a threat. A physical threat is one thing. That's what most people accompany. However, your body cannot tell the difference between an emotional threat, a spiritual threat, a mental threat, or a physical threat, or a financial threat for that matter, which might trigger a multitude. Okay. And regardless of what that threat looks like, whether it's coming from the spiritual, mental, emotional, nutritional, even an outside force, right? There's that immune response, so you could talk about a nutritional threat. The body only has one response, and that is a sympathetic nervous system response. That is otherwise known as fight or flight. And it is basically survival mode for your body. It's meant to be a short stint, 2 hours, 45 minutes, less. It is designed specifically to fight or run. That's why they call it fight or flight. So it's really designed to save your life and get you out of a life-threatening situation. Now, again, if it's a physical threat, that makes a lot of sense, right? I think of a mom that who's, even as I'm about to say this, I'm getting emotional, even just thinking about it, because I have my daughter. Daughter slips, rolls underneath the car falls on her, and mom has this mysterious, miraculous strength where she picks up the car, holds it with one hand, grabs the baby, brings her out, drops the car, and goes on her way. Well, how do you do that? You do that because of the sympathetic nervous system response, fight or flight, and adrenaline and cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. We get a spike of it in the morning when we wake up. And if something stressful happens, we get another spike. Keeps you hyper-focused on whatever that threat is. The adrenaline shifts and diverts energy from maintenance tasks in the body, which we'll talk about in a second, to the major muscle groups of the body so that you can fight or run. Again, you're not meant to hold that car up for a half hour. You're meant to hold that car up for a short period of time so that you can get baby out or child or whatever, and then be on your way. And then you start to shake. You start to shake as the adrenaline and the cortisol begins to be absorbed and dissolved, if you will, outside of the body. It's meant for a really short sprint. Now, for that short period of time when the adrenaline and cortisol are flowing through your body needs that energy from somewhere. So the most expensive energetic use in the body is the brain. The second most expensive energy driver or user in the body is digestion. So when you drift into that fight or flight, your body turns off rational thinking. I don't have to think rationally. I just have to focus on saving my life. And the cortisol keeps you hyper-focused, so you're not drifting from topic to topic. It turns off digestion. So now all of a sudden, it doesn't matter how fabulous or fantastic, although I will say the scalar waves are something a little different, which I want to learn more about. But now it doesn't matter how organic, how clean, how wonderful the supplement you're taking is. If you're stressed and anxious, your body is turning off your digestion potentially, and you're not absorbing food anyway. Turns off your immune system because I don't have to defend against bacteria or viruses. I need to save my life. And of course, it turns off your reproductive organs. Those are the four big ones. There's other stuff that happens, but it has to accumulate that energy and divert it from something. So if you're in fight or flight, your body is not maintaining itself. It is not restoring itself. It is not taking care of itself. It is instead in survival mode.
And
What
I want to
yeah.
just compound on that on a nutritional basis, when you just said it shuts off your digestion, when you're in survival mode, your body's like, okay, are we going to get into a famine? I need to lower my
Oh
caloric
yeah.
burn. I need to gain weight. I need to put an extra layer
Store
of
fat.
fat on my
Yeah.
body to protect my organs. And so you're wondering where this unexplained weight gain has come after this pandemic. Well, it's not just the pandemic. It's not just the toxicity in our environment and our food and the processed foods, but it's this level of chronic stress. And our body's like, okay, where's the next tiger? And so I just wanted
And then
to,
you start looking for it, right? So then when a threat could come from a tiger. Look, if there was a news article that a tiger escaped from from the zoo and it's roaming the streets, yeah, of course you're looking for a tiger. But when your nervous system gets on edge, your brain goes into survival mode. Your brain really wants to keep you alive. And how does it keep you alive? By looking for threats. It doesn't keep you alive by looking for, palm trees and beautiful beaches. When it finds it, it's like, oh, this is brilliant. But even when you're sitting underneath a palm tree at the beach, your brain is actually still looking for threats. Your nervous system is actually still looking for threats. It's how we survive. So this programming, if you will, that is laying underneath our subconscious is this: I need to stay alive. And when we have news agencies that are reporting what they're reporting and the propaganda that's being thrown at us, the music that they're using, the frequencies that they're using, there's a reason why they call it a program on television, telling you a vision. It's not your vision, it's their vision that they're telling to you and programming you through their programs to think what they want you to think. And by the way, the sounds and the frequencies that they use, dun 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 dun. The newscaster I think of is Wolf Blitzer, bless his beautiful heart. He's practically shouting at you. That shouting is eliciting a response to your nervous system that keeps you addicted to his voice. Most people don't even realize that. So with a little bit of education, you start to realize exactly what's happening around you, and you start to become mindful of what's happening around you. And with just like you can condition these muscles through working out in the gym, you can also condition your nervous system, and you can regulate your dysregulated nervous system by using tools like the tools that In Harmony creates and many other great companies that are out there doing incredible things. Sound and vibration captivates the mind, body, and spirit. It guides you into what I'm going to call a meditative state, but it's really just a slower brainwave state, which calms and relaxes the nervous system, which allows you to condition your nervous system to spend more time calm and relaxed, to take the emotional triggers, the mental triggers, the spiritual triggers, and not elicit the same response as a physical threat, which means if you're walking in the mall and a gunshot goes off after using our technology for years and being cool, calm, and collected, your nervous system is still going to react to that threat. It is going to react differently, and it is going to keep you cool, calm, and collected longer so that you have your rational thinking and you can be more aware of your surroundings. But ultimately, you're still going to have access to that fight or flight response. We can't take that away entirely. And I can't change the outside world. I can only help you make better decisions of what the outside world is going to look like for you and what situations and environments you're going to put yourself in by giving yourself more of that cool, calm, and collected outlook on life versus being stressed and anxious on a regular basis.
well, Craig, I don't know how much you know about me and my history, but when I was at rock bottom, what brought me out of that was frequency-based healing and a skio machine that was able to pinpoint and diagnose what was going on in my body, and then
Yes.
use frequencies to help. As of course, I had to change my diet and supplements and lifestyle hacks as well. So it is all about frequency. And if you guys haven't learned much about frequency healing, you're going to hear a lot more about it in the next decade, especially in the next year. So
For sure.
here we are. We are all at a baseline of chronic stress, looking for the new threat, right? And I'm laughing right now because, and he's going to kill me for even talking about this. Is my husband was super stressed last night, and he pinpointed the one cupboard that was not closed. right? He didn't pinpoint anything else that went right in the day. But I love that you said that, is that when you are so stressed out, you're looking for the next threat. You're not looking for the palm trees. So how do we get our brains to start looking for the palm trees and the beaches? How do we get out of that monkey mind that keeps us up? And yeah, it sounds great that we should all meditate, but that sounds horrible for especially people that are type A personalities
It's intimidating.
that need to keep going and going and going to feel productive in this world where we can't be left behind. How do we do it?
Sarah, you touched on so many amazing things right there. So first, I want to take it from I am familiar with that machine that you used, and to the point that we had when we opened, right? That machine is using biofeedback to identify what's happening and assess what's happening in your body at that time. It is then putting together a protocol of different frequencies that is then presenting to your body and delivering to your body through different mechanisms. It's not sound and vibration; it's slightly different, but nonetheless. Um, and it is putting together a specific protocol based on your body, mind, body, and spirit, and where it is at that point. And we take a slightly different approach, and we can talk about that. But to your point, there are no bad frequencies. It's a matter of understanding where you are, and then the machine is meeting you there, and then bringing you back to a baseline. And there's a very important place in the world for that type of therapy, and it's very, very powerful. The other thing you touched on is your husband and feeling stress and anxiety. We all feel stress and anxiety for a variety of different reasons. I can come up with half a dozen that apply to just about every single person that's listening here. The reality is we all feel it. Look, I had a not so great interaction with my wife last night on the bed. I just finished a 48-hour fast. Okay. 48 hours of no food. That to me is a huge accomplishment. I'm doing 48 hours a week for the month of January. Okay. At the end of it, I broke my fast with bone broth. Then I had some of my daughter's pasta, which I know wasn't ideal, but I wanted it and it was great. It was organic, not gluten free, all the things. Then we had steak for dinner and I had some vegetables. And then I went to the freezer and I got some non dairy ice cream and I had 4 bites of it in my pantry. So as not to be in front of anybody, I wasn't hiding it from anybody, but I didn't want my daughter to see, my roommate who's still fasting. I didn't want him to see it. But then it kind of came to light while we were on the couch. My wife is going to kill me for even talking about this. She can't see, but nonetheless, right? And instead of, to your point, instead of being like, Craig, good going on that 48 hours and not eating, like you earned those 4 bites of ice cream, like good job, right? Instead, she was like, you're not doing it right. And that's not good for you. And it's not good for you. And it's not. And she's right. I know it's not good for me. It's sugar, but I felt like I kind of earned it. And that's what I wanted. And that's what I gave myself. I didn't need her to make me feel bad about it. I needed her instead to focus on the negativity, focus on the good of like, you just fasted for 48 hours. Like you earned the 4 bites of ice cream. Get after it, honey. You're awesome. And instead, and I know that's how she feels, by the way. My wife is amazing. We have an incredible relationship. We've already since grown and talked about it. And this morning I was like, hey, honey, I didn't sleep good last night because of it. Like, she don't need to know that. She does now. But I sat her, I was like, hey, what I really needed from you last night was like, hey, 48 hours. Good job. I hope you enjoyed that ice cream. You earned it. Instead of what she did. And she looked at me and said, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. Amazing. We grew. So to your point, your brain is constantly trying to keep us alive. We have on average about 60,000 thoughts per day, 90 or 95% of which are repetitive from the day before. So your question was, how do we change it? We change it through conditioning. We change it by taking a conscious and mindful stand. That's not mindful meditation. That's something different. But we take a stand against that negative self-talk and we slowly begin to change the way we think. It's not going to happen overnight. Mantras are really powerful. I am statements are really powerful. You begin to condition. Visualizing is great. A vision board is amazing. These are all tools that we use to constantly present the subconscious and the conscious mind with positive thinking and positive thoughts. Because the knee-jerk reaction, the default mode, not to be confused with the default mode network in the brain, but your default baseline is negative self-talk. We all have it. You shouldn't do that. You're going to fail. Don't do that. It's going to be embarrassing. And there's a lot of reasons for it psychologically. But generally, like conditioning any other muscle, we too can condition positive reinforcement and positive self-talk, not just for ourselves, but for the people around us. You're amazing. You're incredible. I appreciate you. I am grateful. All of the different things. Um, and then using a tool like In Harmony music meditations, right? Just the music meditations that we create. And then if you want to step up, we obviously have relaxation furniture that takes it even a step further. And, I have an interesting saying, and that is technology got us into this mess. Technology can get us out. I'm not going to sit before you, and we can have a much deeper conversation around meditation with our last 20 minutes because I think it's important. I think there's some common misconceptions about what it is, but I also think it's a very intimidating word for a lot of people, especially in the latter part of your question, which was to those A-type personalities, which, by the way, that's me. 7 years ago, before I started In Harmony, if you told me to sit down and do nothing, I would laugh at you. You want me to sit over there and do nothing? Meditation is a very difficult thing. Sara, if I'm sitting down and I'm teaching you how to meditate, how do I know if you're doing it right?
I don't know.
I don't. That's the answer. I don't. Okay. We could be sitting cross-legged looking at each other, and I could be walking you through a guided meditation. And for all I know, you could be sitting there behind your closed eyes going, this isn't working. This is ridiculous. Craig's a really nice guy. I'm just going to sit here and not move. Maybe I'll flutter my eyes a little bit. And just this will 10 minutes will go by and I can get back to going to do whatever it is that I need to do. And all the stuff that I'm thinking about that I'm not doing, that I could be doing, that I should be doing. And I'll just get back to that. And I'll tell him that I meditate every day and that'll be that. I could be, I don't know. Here's the difference. If I have you sitting on my meditation cushion, listening to a music meditation, all of that chatter turns off. It just goes away.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, you realize that you're drifting out of a beta brainwave, eyes open, processing the world around you, which most people are stuck in, even when their eyes are closed, and instead drifting into a slower brainwave state, which is alpha, which is a target brainwave state, or theta, which is slower than that, which is a target brainwave state, especially during sleep and rejuvenation, even down into delta, which is even slower, or up above beta into gamma. And the brain is supposed to move in and out of these different brainwave states very fluidly. And unfortunately, most of us are stuck in beta, or worse, so overly tired, the brain doesn't know how to turn it off because it's so overstimulated that we're walking around in the delta brainwave state, which I see a lot through the brain scans that I do and the HRV scans that I do.
You mean
So
people are walking around awake in the delta state, which is where you're supposed to be when you're sleeping.
that's right, because the brain doesn't know how to slow down the body except to slow down the brainwave. So, yeah. And then we
okay,
overstimulate ourselves to keep ourselves awake, to keep going. So the brain is actually running in a delta brainwave at less than 3.5 hertz. And we're expecting it to process as if it's thinking, which is why we have brain fog, which is why we have issues with memory recall, which is why, it manifests in so many different ways as far as showing us symptoms. But yeah,
so
absolutely.
when we are meditating, is the goal to be in the theta state?
So it's interesting. People ask me a lot if our tech can help them with sleep. Let's talk about a sleep cycle, because sleep and meditation is nothing more than a conscious perception of a slower brainwave state. Okay. What is sleep? We call it sleep. That's just what us humans call it when we're verbalizing it and talking about it. But in reality, it's just preparing the body for a slower brainwave state. We sleep in 90-minute sleep cycles. We start at alpha. We start in beta, eyes open, and we go into stage 1, 2, 3, 4, moves us to the bottom of the trough. And this is preparing the body for sleep. We're moving out of beta into alpha, theta, and we'll spend a good amount of time in theta and delta during REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. This is when we're dreaming. When you're in deep sleep, you have no motor skills. That's because the brain can't tell the difference between a dream or reality. So if you have a dream that you're getting chased and you have motor skills, you'll start running. And people definitely do this. They sleepwalk and they do even more things when their brain isn't operating correctly or preparing the body for sleep. It's no different for meditation. To answer your question in short, absolutely. The target brainwave for meditation is an alpha or a theta brainwave state. However, once you get good at moving out of beta into alpha down into theta, alpha is where creativity begins. Alpha is like a daydreamy state. If you've ever dozed off for a second and then come back, but you started having a dream where you started to think about being somewhere else, you're drifting into an alpha brainwave state. And dreams happen in a theta brainwave. It's where we are during rapid eye movement sleep. In meditation, you can get down into delta. That's where cellular rejuvenation happens. And you can even pop up into gamma, which is 40 hertz to 100 hertz. And that's where higher thoughts of consciousness, higher states of consciousness, they're flirting with telepathy happening there, and interconnectivity among the human psyche happens up there. So there's a lot of very cutting edge research that's happening in a gamma brainwave state as well. We can induce this using music, using vibration, using light. We can actually entrain the brain. It's called brainwave entrainment. And our brains and our bodies, for that matter, we are big antennas and we are highly impressionable. We are constantly coming into and out of what's called harmonic resonance with those things and people around us. So if I see a 40 hertz frequency or light flashing, my brain begins to actually pump at 40 hertz, which is associated with a gamma brainwave. If I see a 12 hertz frequency or a 10 hertz frequency, my brain actually drops into an alpha brainwave. So there are things that we can do to use technology. To go back to my saying, technology got us into this, technology can get us out. We can use technology as a crutch to teach us, to train us, and to create the rut in the record. And then we can then put the needle in that rut anytime we need to, once we have trained ourselves to do so. So tech-assisted meditation is a word that I think I coined. I don't know. I certainly don't want to take credit for it, but it's something that we talk about a lot, is this tech-assisted meditation. The oldest form of tech-assisted meditation, believe it or not, is a candle. A candle flickers at 10 hertz. So looking at a candle while you're sitting in meditation, looking at a candle, your brain is in training to the 10 hertz flicker, which, by the way, is an alpha brainwave state. So there's lots of different ways for us to break this down and look into the science and the research. The reality is, meditation doesn't need to be intimidating. We can help you with that. More importantly, we all need to be taking 5, 10, 15 minutes a day to go inward, to quiet the mind, allow thoughts to flow through the mind freely, drift out of beta into alpha, theta, delta, up into gamma, and move in and out of these different brainwave states. And there's incredible technology that can help you to do that.
Okay, so let's, because I can't believe we're almost running out of time.
I can't believe either.
The different technology options that you offer. And do you recommend doing this in the morning, in midday, afternoon, night, anytime? What do you take people through? And
just like the frequency conversation, as needed, right? So for some people, it could be morning, noon, and night. When I first got access to my technology, it was morning, noon, and night. I did a session when I woke up, I did a session after lunch, and I did a session in the evening to wind down. Now I'm probably on my technology once a day. I did my session this morning. Sometimes I do my session at the end of the day. It all depends on what's happening with my daughter and my wife and schedules and all the things that, it's really funny. I know we're getting close on time. I was at an event a couple of weeks ago, and there was a panel, and Dr. Patrick Porter, Mindy Peltz, and Dr. Saunders and his wife, they were on this panel. And these are incredible folks that are focused on mind, body, hormones, all of it. And it was hosted by the Biohacking Babes. And the question was basically like, talk to us about your morning routine. And Patrick talked about his 2-hour morning where he meditates. And Mindy talked about crawling out of bed and getting into her hyperbaric chamber. And then Melissa, bless her beautiful heart, she's like, I have 3 kids. So a morning routine for me is I don't know what you're talking about or what world you think I can get a morning routine in. But she goes, but we've adapted it and we have our own, right? So it's really about, I say all that because it's really about you do it when you can do it. Find yourself for the few minutes. The easiest way to get access to what we do is through our app. And In Harmony Music Meditations app. It's in iOS and the Google Play Store. We stream for free on Spotify. Search In Harmony. You'll find a sampling of our music there. Full feature, 11-minute features of our music. YouTube, you'll find 11-minute versions of our music meditations. You'll also find 11-hour versions, which are designed to bring your home in harmony. I stream that music all day long through my Sonos sound system. It's great through a Bluetooth speaker. It's great through your car stereo system, although I don't recommend it while you're driving. The easiest way is to begin listening to these music meditations and giving yourself access to the frequencies, the music. The upgrade from there is taking a look at the furniture that we produce. We make relaxation furniture, and it basically has sound, vibration, speakers built into it, amplifiers that deliver an amplified version of our music meditations to your body. If you're using our technology, I definitely recommend our app. The music that's in our app is optimized for our technology. And our music meditations range from 2 minutes to 2 hours. We have over 125 in our app as we speak, and we're releasing about a new music meditation every week. So we're very much focused on our 4 different products are the In Harmony meditation cushion, the In Harmony Practitioner 2, which is designed to go on top of a massage table, the In Harmony massage table, which has its own legs built in, and then of course our In Harmony Sound Lounge 2, which is our biggest and most powerful unit. And then of course our app, our music meditations app as well.
I love all of this. It's something that you mentioned a couple times with strengthening that muscle. And here we go to the gym to strengthen our muscles. And as a
Yeah.
mom of 3 and watching my kids go through their struggles and challenges with friends or boyfriends or school or whatever it is, I always say, I can't wait to see what God is doing with this challenge. It needs to strengthen your muscle in that area for a bigger challenge later on. That's what life is, right? It's all about the journey. And
Absolutely.
just you just said 2 minutes. I have 2 minutes. I can find
Yep.
2 minutes to start meditating and doing this and listening to the app just as putting my toe in the water with all of this. I mean, Craig, I am extremely healthy. I'm a guru. I do supplements. I do all the right stuff. I have a hard time meditating. I have
Yeah.
a hard time doing it because of that type A personality, and I try and I work on it, but this is something where I think personally technology is going to need to assist someone like me into getting more out of it. And more than ever, as we talked about, is this world where the perceived stress, right? It's not just the stressor, but
Yeah.
it's how we perceive it. Do we perceive it as a 1 or a 10?
Yeah.
And that's, because the stress is going to be there. The stressor is not going away. And
Whether
there's
it's a 1 or a 10, the brain and the body still only has one response. So
right.
even at a 1, your body at some level is in that fight or flight.
Right. Well, I am definitely going to be diving into In Harmony, and I love this. And before we go, I just wanted to touch on a couple supplements that can help you as well. Of course, clean eating, because Craig, yes, those 4 bites of ice cream really didn't make your blood sugar go up and down. But when you sit down with a pint of Ben
Oh
and
yeah.
Jerry's, that's going to be a problem. And that is actually going to affect your perceived stress and your anxiety. We all know that, right? And here we are, we're trying to clean up our diet and get moving and start exercising. Exercising is huge. Walking, get a dog, go walk. That's huge. But Cogniblast, this is our new brain supplement. And it has gotten people off their anti-anxiety drugs, their antidepressants, people that I didn't even know were on medication. They will come out of the woodwork and say, this is the only supplement that has been able to wean me off of my medication, improving their mood, improving cognition, focus, ATP production, memory, learning, helping with anxiety, improving that motivation and that dopamine. But the other thing that people don't realize is that most people that are depressed actually are hypothyroid, and it's related to their thyroid, and their doctors are not testing their thyroid hormones. So the combination of the accelerated thyroid, which is just in the same bottle, is all of the nutrients to feed the thyroid and enhance with scalar frequencies to detox the thyroid of the heavy metals and radiation that is causing hypothyroidism. And then you add in the accelerating iodine. Iodine deficiency is known as the #1 predictor of depression and brain fog. Get that straight. So #1 predictor of depression, all you have to do is start supplementing with iodine. Yes, and 96% of the United States is deficient in iodine. It is enhanced with scalar frequencies. It's able to detox the brain of toxins like fluoride, and it helps you become more in touch with your higher self. It improves metabolism and thyroid health, so the body has the physical and mental energy to face all of the stressors that we've been talking about. And that suboptimal thyroid, like I was talking about, has been correlated with higher rates of depression and mental illness. You also want to address your gut. As Craig and I talked about, gut health is linked to the brain, right? There's that gut brain axis. And so eat clean, intermittent fast. You don't necessarily need to do a 48-hour fast, Craig. I am really impressed, by the way. I do 24-hour ones quite often. I've done a 48-hour once, but that is pretty impressive. But that will help with the healing of the gut. Now,
Oh,
what you can do to enhance your intermittent fasting is use the accelerated keto, which increases ATP
keto's
production
great.
and helps with the stabilizing the blood sugar, so you actually don't crave that Ben and Jerry's. You actually are able to intermittent fast no problem, and it will give you the mental and the physical energy while you're doing an intermittent fast, and that's going to help heal your gut, which is going to heal your brain as well. And use the right gut supplements that will help expedite the healing of the gut. So I just wanted to mention a couple of those, and if you have any other tidbits, Craig, that we haven't talked about to help with this global stress, this anxiety and depression pandemic that we are experiencing.
Yeah, you mentioned a few great ones, and supplements are a wonderful way for us to get access and change the alchemy of the body, which is obviously at the core of how we function. Getting outside, getting sunlight early in the morning, late in the afternoon, getting that sun on your skin, getting your feet in the dirt or in the grass or in the snow or whatever it is that you've got outside your house that doesn't include wearing shoes or a sole, a rubber sole that separates you from the earth. There's so many different aspects to it. Hugging another human, skin
Mm.
on skin contact. You don't have access to a human, get a dog. I think that's great. Get that oxytocin release, which changes things in the body as well. Um, Eating a good diet, drinking clean water, really clean water, which you really can't find anywhere on planet Earth anymore. So it needs to be filtered um, and remineralized. I mean, there's just so many different aspects to general health and wellness, but start where you are. Don't look at this as I got all these things I need to change. Change one thing at a time and slowly upgrade your practice and your ritual every single day, and you'll find yourself feeling better. They didn't build Rome overnight. Same for the human body.
And I will echo that. My health journey has been over the last 15 years. It didn't happen overnight, right?
Right. Folks look at me. I've been doing this 12 years. Right. So like, it's really easy to look at Sarah or me and be like, oh, these guys have everything put together. We've just been figuring it out. I grew up on McDonald's just like everybody else. I'm 44 years old. There was a time where I didn't know any better. And little by little, you start to read. It's way easier to find access to the right information these days than it was when I first started. Way easier to find access to whole foods. If it comes from the earth, eat it. If it comes from a box, eat less of it. Start there. And yeah, here's to the best versions of ourselves, no doubt.
I love it. Craig, where can people find you?
Our website is iaminharmony.com. IAMINHARMONY.com. I'm on all the socials. In Harmony Interactive is the name of our brand. I'm sure you'll link it in the show notes below or wherever people are watching this. I'm the guy on the other side of the DMs, the direct messages, private messages. I'm the guy on the other side of the comments as well. So if you have questions, you'll probably find my phone number plastered on some social post somewhere. My phone number is at the top of my website. Call me. I'd love to chat with you. Let me know you found me here with Sarah and this podcast. And I'd love to hear about what's going on in your world and see if there's an opportunity for me to help. Thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate you, Sarah.
I love all of this. This is such a great tool we all need to be using, because this world is like we mentioned, it truly is a pandemic of stress and anxiety. So thank you, Craig, for all the work you're doing, and I will be diving in even deeper. So thanks everyone else for joining us. If I can help you with your health issues, you can contact me directly through the website, SaraBantaHealth.com. Happy to put together a protocol for you, and join the free group coaching on Telegram with the link below. I teach you on a daily basis with tips and tools to enhance your health. And you will be a part of a like-minded group to support you on your journey, in addition to truly taking control of your health. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram under Accelerated Health Products, across over 100 channels under Accelerated Health TV and Radio Show. And as I mentioned, my goal is to reach everyone on earth with eyes to see and ears to hear my message of healing. So help me with that goal. Share this podcast with a few of your friends who need to hear this message. Join us every week, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific, and you can find the supplements we talked about at SaraBantaHealth.com and use coupon WELCOME10 for 10% off site-wide. Thanks again for joining us here, and have a great week.